Hi, everyone. We'll start in a few minutes.
Okay, hi everyone. I think it is a good time to start. So welcome. I don't know, are we seeing new faces? Let me see. I think some of you are new, but welcome. My name is Nozuko, and basically working with students, with graduates, in basically helping connect with basically different opportunities, from where to study to funding opportunities in terms of fees, in terms of exposure to exchange programs, bursary and scholarship funds, and ultimately is to then help connect students and graduates to work opportunities. And talking about work, it's also realizing the entrepreneurship stream as a streamline of creating that opportunity with regards to employment. And in saying that, if you haven't submitted your application for, or rather your entry for our exciting business pitch competition that closes later today, where we've got great cash prizes up for grabs on Friday, where you will have a chance to be mentored on a one-on-one session with industry entrepreneurs, industry business leaders, where they can help you take your business or your business idea to the next level, and supporting you as a young and upcoming startup or entrepreneur. So today's session is all about living a balanced lifestyle. It's very important to come back and be a holistic person in terms of where you are and how you can actually help yourself in terms of your emotional wellness. As much as there's pressure around academics, around family and friends, around careers, you need to be able to come back and basically be mentally okay in order to structure better and be successful. So we will have our facilitator, Nirana Singh, who is very passionate about the living a healthy, balanced lifestyle. So she'll basically take you through some techniques, some tools to help you cope, especially when it comes to anxiety, stress, and when it comes to exams, you like panicking. So there'll be techniques that she'll share with you in terms of how do you cope with stress, how do you cope with anxiety, so that it doesn't derail you, it doesn't derail your life. So with GASP, which stands for the Global Student Support Platform, is we wanting to connect, as I mentioned earlier, students and graduates to different opportunities, but at the same time bringing those opportunities to you. And we are doing that through an app that we are launching. And let me just play a quick video for you, just to basically showcase what the app is all about.
Hi, meet Noma and Chris. They are students who are uncertain about their study options until they come across our Global Student Summit platform, also known as GASP. GASP helped them make an informed decision when it came to what and where to study, be it an undergraduate or a postgraduate qualification in South Africa or anywhere else in the world. With our platform, they were exposed to multiple funding options that help them fund their studies, from global scholarship opportunities all the way to bursaries and study loans. They found a diverse network of student support providers, from the likes of accommodation providers, mentors, soft skills development practitioners, all within our platform. Noma and Chris lead a healthy and well-balanced lifestyle, thanks to the events, conferences, and tips that they found on the platform, where they were able to connect and keep in touch with their fellow peers. They have done a full 360 degrees with our platform, as we have successfully connected them with potential future employers as they are about to graduate and join the world of work. Where will they launch their careers? Will it be in Europe, Asia, or Africa? All these options are at their disposal on the platform. We at GASP can do the same for you. Be sure to sign up for your free online profile today. GASP, connect, engage, inspire.
Yeah, so as mentioned, you are able to download the app currently on the Google Play Store, as well as the Huawei App Gallery Store, and it will be coming to the iOS Apple App Store from the 1st of November. But on Google, Android, as well as Huawei, it's already readily available. So you can start downloading it so that as we plug in and as we upload all these opportunities, you are first in line to seeing and connecting and basically making a life of your own. So without any further ado, I will be handing you over to Nirana Singh, who is basically going to be taking you through this afternoon session. Do enjoy and interact with her, engage, and looking forward to getting your feedback.
So hi there again. We're talking balanced living, and balanced living really speaks to wellness on a holistic level. Let's understand what is living a balanced lifestyle. So balanced living means considering all aspects of your life: relationships, work, fitness and health, and emotional well-being. I think the difficulty often is that most people see it in one sphere. So typically people would think wellness means physical health. How fit I am, do I exercise often, do I follow a really tight eating regime, these sort of things. Or they may see wellness as only my emotional wellness, or only the way I manage my relationships. So it is all of these things. And if you want to put it together, we have what we call a wellness triangle. So like a triangle, if you allocate to each side of the triangle, physical, social, mental, and emotional, together, all three sides of the triangle must be balanced. In other words, being healthy also means feeling good about yourself and getting along with others. Health is a combination of physical, mental or emotional, and social or spiritual well-being. The three sides of your health are connected, like the three sides of a triangle. In essence, people who live balanced lifestyles are overall healthier and appear to live longer, happier lives. Now let's understand each side of this triangle. And we're going to start with physical health, which includes total care of your body. I mentioned earlier that most people see health in only one aspect, and usually people associate it with my physical health. This is just one element. And when you think of total care of your body, think about what you eat, how you move, and practicing personal hygiene. All of these aspects relate to your physical health. It may seem brief, but I am going to go into a lot more detail as we proceed through the session. So for the purposes of where we are now, we're just going to cover in brief what each side of this triangle means. Mental or emotional health includes liking who you are and accepting yourself. The previous session spoke to emotional intelligence, and this is a really important part. Expressing emotions in a healthy way, dealing with life's problems and dealing with its pressures and stresses in a healthy way. Again, what that means, we'll go into greater detail as we proceed through the session. Social or spiritual health, getting along with others. Here we talk about working or playing or interacting in a group, making and keeping friends, giving and receiving support when needed. And really important is feeding your soul, becoming the best version of the person you are intended to be. I'd like to open up the discussion. If you can share with me your understanding of what balanced living is, what wellness is. If you have any questions, we are going to do a little exercise following this discussion where you'll have the opportunity to evaluate yourself and your own wellness triangle. So Naz, do we have any questions?
No, not anything at the moment. Oh, no questions. So guys, you can put your questions up on the chat. There's a chat option you'll see, as well as a Q&A option. So you can always jot down your questions on there as you go.
Okay, well, if there's no one, we'll proceed. We're going to do a little exercise, like I said, and you're going to evaluate the wellness triangle and yourself within this triangle. So if you have a piece of paper, you can label that paper 3 headings. You want physical, mental or emotional, and social or spiritual. There's a series of questions that will follow in the slides that it's come. You will answer yes or no, depending on whether the statement is true for you. The questions will relate to one section of the triangle at a time. So I hope you take the exercise. It's really good to understand where you're at. If we know where we're at right now, we also know what we need to do to balance ourselves out. So physical health, sleep. Sleep is a really important part of our overall well-being, mental state, emotional state. It's where we regenerate. We allow our bodies to recover. And you should be getting at least 7 hours of sleep every night. Some people need more, some people need less, but healthily speaking, 7 hours of sleep every night. And there will be moments where you're studying or you're working and studying, and 7 hours is just not possible. Let that be your exception and not the rule by which you live. Secondly, do you engage in physical activity at least 30 minutes a day? Now, 30 minutes a day is not a lot. And notice that I've said physical activity. I didn't use the word exercise. I didn't use the term sport. It could be those things. If you are an athlete, maybe you're a runner or a cyclist, or you play a sport like soccer or netball, whatever it is, these are examples. But if you're not any of those things and you don't have a sport that you participate in, do you do 30 minutes of physical activity every day? Thirdly, I eat whole, nutritious food and not a diet that is loaded with processed foods, junk food, convenience food. A little bit of understanding around food. I think it's always a difficult one what is healthy food. It is not necessarily anything that has the label healthy on it. In fact, take the label away, right? People look at boxes of really expensive stuff and they presume that that is healthy food. When we say healthy whole food, we are talking about consuming food in its most natural form. Do you eat fresh fruit and vegetables? Do you eat lean, good quality meat if you do eat meat? Convenience foods refer to takeouts, so McDonald's, KFC, even cereals. A lot of cereals are just loaded with sugar and it's processed. Personal hygiene, a really important one. And this is just such a basic human habit. So, and it goes into the very next point here. With the current pandemic, we need to exercise extra caution when it comes to hygiene. Do you wash your hands frequently? Do you take a bath or a shower or whatever method you use to cleanse your body daily, twice a day? If you leave the house and you come back in, do you remove your shoes? Do you clean your shoes? Do you wash your hands? Do you change your clothing? But personal hygiene as a broad concept, ask yourself whether you practice this ritualistically. So morning and evening is a very good example. And then, of course, going into what I've gone on about the pandemic, do you adhere to these measures or precautions, including wearing a mask in public, avoid touching surfaces when in public, sanitize regularly, remove clothes, and shower or bathe after returning home from a public space. And the last one here, I've put physical safety. Now, physical safety, again, is quite broad, but really speaking, it is things that are as simple as, do I wear a seatbelt when I drive or when I commute in a vehicle? Do I wear a seatbelt? Do I walk in designated pedestrian zones? Am I generally aware of my physical safety and not putting myself at risk of an accident? You would have made a note, yes or no, to each of these questions, and we will move on. We've got mental or emotional health. Remember, all of these aspects speak to each other. They work together, right? I generally feel good about myself and I express who I am. This is a point I feel particularly passionate about. I think in a world where we grow up conditioned by society, community, religion, a lot of our habits or our views of ourselves are based on what we're taught and what people have told us who we are and how we should be. Now take a step back and ask yourself, do I generally feel good about myself? And do I express who I am? Then, do I express my feelings clearly and calmly, even when I'm angry or sad? So, you know, anger is a very disruptive emotion and it generally explodes externally. And the question here is really, if I am angry, and I'm using anger first, if I am angry, do I have outbursts? Do I cry? You know, do I retaliate in some way? Or do I approach the situation calmly? The same goes for sadness. Do I withdraw? Do I ignore people? Again, do I cry? Crying is generally an outlet for when we're not in a balanced space. Number 3 here, do I accept helpful criticism? I generally believe that most criticism can be viewed in a constructive way. But let's assume that, or let's just take criticism as a whole. somebody is criticizing you. It's got a negative connotation to it. When you receive this, do you accept it as it could have value? Again, is there a retaliation? Are you putting yourself down? Which you shouldn't be, right? And it may be because we're growing and we're learning. And once again, we have to be honest and acknowledge where we are now. I have at least one activity that I enjoy. This could be absolutely anything. I run. It's an activity that I enjoy. I do this almost every day, whether it is for 20 minutes or whether it is for 2 hours. As a habit, I believe it's phenomenal because it feeds into my physical wellness as well. It is a space where I can clear my mind. I can set goals around this. I've run marathons, even in other countries. And maybe that's not your thing, but then you need to understand what is. Your young people, do you enjoy music? Maybe you enjoy making music. Maybe you have a sport. Apply yourself here. What is that activity that you enjoy? I would like to say that on this point, most of us enjoy socializing, and that is part of the other side of the triangle. So let it maybe not be the activity that you're putting down as an activity I enjoy. Acceptance. I feel like people like and accept me. This speaks to our own self-love. So who I am, I accept who I am, I generally express who I am. Go back to that first point there. You know, I feel like people like me. I'm a likable person. Do you feel that way? And you know, it's you. You're not going to share the answers with me if you don't want to. I only ask that you are honest with yourself. And the last one on this one here is I like to learn new information and develop new skills. And this is important to our emotional and mental health because we want to feel like we are growing and we're developing. But we also want to feel good about ourselves. And how do we do that? We do that by learning. You are constantly evolving as a species, as a human being, as an individual. And so you should constantly be learning. Learning does not directly translate to academia. It could be any skill. You maybe want to learn how to play a musical instrument and you use YouTube as it. You have an interest in a particular topic. There is an abundance of resources that are available online, free resources that will cost you nothing to learn that. You could join a group. These are just options. But are you that person? That is the question. Are you that person? Do I try and learn and develop myself constantly? Social and spiritual health, and these two again are grouped together because it feeds to our greater good. It feeds to our spiritual growth. And how do we do that? As a species, we don't live in isolation. So really important is that you have at least one close friend. My personal experience, I have had to learn that my family is not everything to me, and I am really close to my family. But there are things you may not feel comfortable sharing with a sibling or a parent, you know, even a little bit more distant relative like a cousin. So do you have a friend, somebody who is your sounding board, somebody that you can go to and you can just talk to when you need to? The second one here, I respect and care for my family. And I will use myself as an example. Again, I mentioned it in the previous point. I have a really close relationship with my family. Not everybody does, and I know that. You know, the saying is, you don't choose your family, but most definitely we should respect them for who they are. And if we look at the previous slide, we asked the question, do I feel liked and respected? Do I feel like I'm accepted for who I am? And so flip this around and think about how you view the people that are closest to you. Do you respect and care? I know how to disagree with others without getting angry. Another point that speaks to the previous slide, our emotional space. You know, I'm able to have a point of view without being defensive, without retaliating, without being angry. That's really what this is asking you. I am a good listener. You know, we all want to be heard, but do we listen? So that close friend or friends that you have, do you listen? And then speaking to our spiritual or religious self, I believe in something bigger than myself. And this is not limited to religion. It could be that you are spiritual, but maybe you are religious, and maybe it is the church, maybe it is a youth group, but do you believe? That is the question. Do you believe that there's something bigger than me that I am not in control of? And so I believe in this other force. Now you're going to take a moment, look at the triangle, or draw the triangle, because you just created the headings across the page for the purpose of the exercise. And you're going to add up the number of yeses on each side of the triangle. In doing this, you're going to see areas of your life where you perform really well and the areas where you may not. Coming back, where am I now? In my wellness journey, where am I now? No one, and absolutely no one, is 100% balanced. So it's not a competition. You don't get full marks, you don't get full marks. We work from that space. In saying that and allowing you to add up your scores and establish where you are, if anybody has any questions at this point, or a comment that they'd like to make, a score that they'd like to share, please do that at this stage before we move on. Guys, do we have any questions? No questions? Okay, so nobody wants to share where they're at, and that's fine. So, you're welcome to have asked a question, and I'm going to say that throughout this process, if you do have, throughout the session, if you do have a question, please feel free to ask. Naz will just let me know if somebody has raised their hand and has a comment or a question, and we'll deal with it as we go along. So having established where you are in this wellness journey and utilizing the triangle as a tool to assess the areas in which you perform really well and the ones where maybe you perform not so well. Acknowledge not so well and not failure. We're going to talk about wellness in general. And we spoke about food a little bit earlier in this discussion. And as part of the assessment, eating properly is essential in optimizing your immunity against illness and disease. Again, something that I truly believe in is you are what you consume. In this context, we're talking about food. Do I eat a balanced, nutrient-dense diet? I'm going to reiterate the concept of healthy food in that it is not something in a box that is labeled healthy. It is consuming natural produce in its most natural state. Whole foods. Plant-based food. So are you getting a variety of vegetables, fruit, spices, herbs? All of these things are critical in keeping us strong. And a strong body is a strong mind. All three sides work together. A huge one here for students if you're studying, and most students struggle with balance, keeping stress under control and making sure you get plenty of sleep for recovery. It is really going back to what we spoke about in the earlier part of the discussion, right? 7 hours of sleep. And if it's not 7 hours, I'm going to put this out there. Do you feel rested? When you wake up, do you struggle to get up in the morning? Do you struggle to get going? Or do you feel refreshed? Do you generally feel good when you wake up? That is a good indicator of whether you're resting. Do you have a clear mind when you start your day? Good indicator that you're resting, you're recovering. Exercise. 30 minutes is a minimum. It's World Health Organization guidelines, right? But what is it that you do? Physical activity is really important to our body. Good muscle tone, strong skeletal system, healthy organs. We achieve this in part by regular physical activity. Obviously, the other part of physical health is your nutrition. And here, these good for you patterns or behaviors are effective immunity boosters. Immunity, another point that is extremely relevant to where we are in a pandemic. If we have a strong immune system, we have greater resilience. And today it's COVID-19. Yesterday it would have been swine flu. Tomorrow it could be something else. But the stronger you are in building the right habits, the stronger immunity you have, the less likely or the less susceptible you are to any of these illnesses or diseases. And now, embracing anxiety and stress. Notice the word embracing, because we don't hide from anxiety, we don't hide from stress. We've got to embrace it. You can't pretend it away. So we're going to embrace it, and we're going to go through some tools and methods that you can use to manage anxiety and stress. I'm going to go to the block at the top here. Rethink your routine. And routine is, you know, very much a part of it. It's been in the previous slides. Go asleep. If it's not 7 hours a day, do you feel rested? Do you feel rejuvenated when you wake up? Unhealthy food. Do I live on a diet of primarily takeout and fast foods? I'm talking to young people here, and generally, I say generally, so I'm not saying it's you. Those are the questions you will answer for yourself. But generally, a lifestyle that is rich in fast foods is associated with young people. We're moving all the time. We're meeting people. It's easy. It's convenient. What it is not is nutrient dense. It's not feeding your body. And that doesn't mean that you need to be the complete other extreme. It doesn't mean that that you're not allowed to indulge. It means that it is an exception. Habits like alcohol, smoking, you know, these things numb our senses. It shouldn't become a coping mechanism. Again, I'm not saying that you need to be on the extreme end of the scale here, but when you look at yourself, and some of the questions you could probably ask in rethinking your routine in your lifestyle is how frequently. On a scale of 1 to 10 or 7 days of the week, how frequently? And that should establish where the balance or imbalance is. And to shift that, very simply, you will focus on one habit at a time. So if it's my eating that I'm focusing on, for at least 1 week, I am going to attempt to eat healthier food. And by attempt, I'm going to make a conscious effort. I am not going to naturally revert to the easiest thing, which is pick up a takeout on my way home. Maybe reserve that as a treat for 1 day a week. So that was one. Sleep. I need to improve sleep. I need to change habits. You know, week 2, you're going to work on the habits that create better quality sleep for you. Week 3, you will work on whatever is limiting you in terms of your physical aspects. And you may not be imbalanced in all of them. It's simply saying that where the imbalances are, you're going to try and change one habit at a time so that it is it's easier to consume, and you will create longevity. You will build a lifestyle. There'll be sustainability in the way you live. It's not a fad, it's a lifestyle. I said when I opened this section of the session that we are embracing anxiety. And so if you look at the block on the left hand, it's not about fighting anxiety and stress. It's not going to go away. You can't be hard on yourself. You have to learn. And really important is recognizing the physical signs of what make you anxious or stressed. On that point, I'm going to say there are signs. And signs are things like I feel flushed. I have an increased heart rate. I may feel dizzy. These are physical signs. Secondary to the sign is understanding what the triggers are. What triggers you to be stressed or anxious? Is it that you feel this as you're about to do a presentation, so it's public speaking? I use that as an example because I am here speaking to you, and I'm going to show you how you manage this. People assume that everybody who speaks is a natural speaker, and some people are, but not everybody is. Other things that can create anxiety or stress could be a social environment. Perhaps you're an introvert, and being around people makes you nervous, it makes you anxious. It could be exams. So, that like last hour before you're going to write the paper, you're thinking, I haven't studied enough. If I had more time, I could have done a million things differently. Long story short, you're here now. You now know what the trigger is. And the writing exams and I could have done more is the trigger. The sign is the dizziness. It's the hot flushes. It's the shaking or, palpitations, rapid heartbeat. And one of the things we're going to do, and we're going to practice in this session, is deep breathing. You're going to learn how to do this in different ways and how it's going to help you in managing anxiety. But more than that, managing who you are. All those other things we spoke about in terms of our mental and emotional well-being. Anxiety comes from that, right? We're going to learn how to use our breath. Most people think, I breathe, I'm alive, so I breathe. What do you mean? Well, wait, you're going to see what I mean, right? We use the breath as a tool. You're going to learn to feel your breath and to use it to help you in creating a more balanced life. I said here on this block, it's a simple thing when you think about it, but dedicate a few minutes. What most people do with anything, And I'm going to just go up to that top block again, where I said focus on one habit at a time. I found that as a health and wellness coach, what a lot of people do is they focus on the techniques and they go from wherever they are to trying to be the winner overnight. And that is not sustainable. So if we're using breath as a technique, you're going to learn how to do it, and you're going to start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever is palatable for you, and you will build on that. And in doing that, you will learn how to use it for you. Now, here's a technique. Here's a technique in, and it's also an exercise. You know, you have access to the presentation, which is great because you can use this. I suggest you use it at regular intervals. You know, maybe you feel you have a lot of work to do. And so for now, you're going to do it maybe once a month. And at some point, you're going to feel like you're in a good flow. And regardless, do it every second month or every third month. But it's a way of evaluating yourself, being a self-observer and a coach, and changing our narratives. So when I say our narratives, what does that mean? It means that we all have a story that we've told ourselves is our story. What is that story? I am an Indian female from a small town where everyone's really conservative, and I've constantly felt judged my whole life, and therefore I have all of these limitations. Maybe that was my narrative, because that could easily have been my narrative. And so what is yours? What is your story? The first step in this is obviously to ask yourself, what is your story? Who is it that you think you are? And write it down, journal it. Because when you journal and when you put pen to paper, or in the technological world that we live in, you're putting your thoughts to some form of technological device. So you've got it saved on a laptop or an iPad or even your phone. But you're going to use this. You're going to use this to establish at various points in your life, what is my narrative? And you're going to use a technique called the ABCDE technique. A stands for attention. When you feel distressed, stop what you're doing and pay attention to your inner dialogue. What are you telling yourself? Or what is your mind telling you? Mind is telling you, I can't do this because I've never done it before. Guess what? I have never delivered a webinar before, and I'm here. So if I had told myself, I can't do it because I've never done this before, would I ever do it? Or I can't do this because I would feel judged. Or, you know, what are people going to think of me? Maybe I'm really bad at what I'm doing right now. You're going to let me know when the session is done, when you share your feedback. And that's okay, because I'm going to receive it in a useful way. So pay attention to what your inner dialogue is. What are you telling yourself? What is your mind telling you about the situation? B is for believe. Do not automatically believe your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Whatever your mind is telling you, your reaction should not be to just believe it. Speaks to changing our narrative, right? This is exactly what we're doing with this technique. C is for challenge. Diffuse anxiety by broadening your focus. What is the bigger picture? You know, when we're in anxiety and we're in that inner dialogue, it's very narrow. It's a very narrow space. We're not thinking out of it. And so you're challenging yourself to think out of this tunnel that you put yourself in. Is the thought that you have fact or opinion? What might you think if you were feeling calm. So social setting, as an example, I can't go because I'm really quiet. I'm actually very shy. I don't know how to react to people. But if I was calm and if I was comfortable just being myself, even if that is a quiet, shy person, what would I think? Maybe I'm okay. And I know a lot of people like that. They're not loud, extroverted people, but they're very comfortable in a social environment because they're comfortable with who they are. D for discount. Acknowledge that anxiety has been dominating your thinking and let the thought go. Well, unhelpful thoughts. Let them go. We ask the question, what is my mind telling me? Is the thought fact or opinion? And here you're asking yourself, is it useful? Is it helpful? I'm thinking these things, but is it helping me? So acknowledge that anxiety has been dominating your thinking and let unhelpful thoughts go. And we're going to do this. We're going to do this together at the end of the session. E for explore, options. What would be helpful to focus on right now? And what options do I have? Sometimes we force ourselves into situations because we believe that we would be judged if we didn't. We believe that there would be some negative repercussion, and it might just not be a useful situation, and maybe it is a social situation, since we've used that as an example here. You don't like the people that you're invited to hang out with. Maybe they have unhealthy habits and you don't want to be a part of it. So, what are your options? Maybe your option is to just say no and not go. So you need to explore what your options are. I would really like, even if it is at the end of the session, that on these points that you share some of these things with me. So, what are the challenges? What are the things that trigger anxiety for you? What do you struggle with? How do you cope? I'm going to give you some of my tools. They work really well for me and a lot of the people that I work with in helping to deal with anxiety and stress. So then we have strategies for balanced living. And this is really saying, how do I move into action? So I've done the exercise with the triangle, and I realized that I have imbalances in certain areas of my life, right? How do I now work towards creating that balance? We know where we are now, we know where we would like to be, and what are these strategies that we use to create that? Really important to track your time. Analyzing your present situation is the beginning step in achieving a balanced life. Now here, keep a time log of everything you do for a week, including work-related and personal activities. It sounds tedious, but it is extremely useful. So I spend 4 hours a day studying. I spend 8 hours sleeping. I spend only 10 minutes eating because maybe I eat one meal a day and it's not even on meal prep. Or I spend 3 hours of my day on video calls with my friends, but I didn't finish my assignments or study sufficiently for a test or prepared something decent to eat. So track your time. Just put pen to paper. There's no judgment. There's an acknowledging, right? So what do I do every day? How much of time do I spend on everything that I do? This will help you see and understand how you are using and where you are losing your time. Determine your priorities. A good way to look at this is you could look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, another triangle that you can work with. You know, another easy way to do it is, I always say, you gravitate to doing what you prioritize. If it were me, I would get up in the morning and I will run. I will take care of myself. So clearly self-care is a priority. Unless, you know, I really had to. And so maybe that priority shifts, because it could mean that on a specific day, I have a meeting at, an unusual time, like 7 a.m. So for that day, that is my priority. But here we're talking holistically speaking, right? Determine your priorities. Spend some time seriously reflecting on what is most important to you, and make a list of your top priorities at work or school and at home. Then analyze your time audit. So go back to step one, analyze the time audit by asking yourself these key questions. What do I need to start doing, stop doing, continue doing more of, doing less of, and doing differently? Ponder it. Your third strategy, set specific goals. Now, a goal could be a broad goal, which is to say, I want to achieve a particular score on my exam for the term or for the year. But hone in on those goals and look at it in terms of your holistic lifestyle. Remember, we're talking about balanced living. You're looking at all the facets and you're setting specific goals. You're using that triangle test that we did to determine where the imbalances are to set goals. Take your list of priorities and turn them into concrete and measurable goals. Now, instead of doing them as a month or 2 month, 3 month quarterly goals, you're going to start by doing them as daily goals. So block time into your schedule for activities, just like you would for your meetings or your doctor's appointment. You know, obviously lessons are pre-blocked for you. You have a timetable and that is blocked into your schedule. Outside of that timetable, how are you scheduling your goals? Because that's what you're doing. You're scheduling your goals. And that is exactly point number 4. Schedule. Successful people plan their work and then work their plan. I want to run Comrades Marathon this year. And to do that, I first needed to qualify to run it, which meant I had to run a marathon that was on a list of qualifying races in under 5 hours. And then I had to achieve in my training a certain amount of mileage so that my body and my mind was physically ready to run 89 kilometers. I had to schedule that. I could in no way go on any particular day. I just can't do the training, right? I had to achieve the mileage, and the mileage was per day, per week, per month, you know, right up to 2 weeks before the race. Where are you at in terms of your mileage? Failing which, I would just not have been ready. That's my example. I want you to translate that into your goals and your schedule. Take care of your health. Without a healthy body, we don't have a healthy mind, and we don't have a successful life. It becomes more difficult to achieve our goals. You can't do that if you don't have a clear mind. You can't do it if you're not well rested. You can't do it if you're not physically fit and strong with a good immune system. So your health should always be your number one priority. Take care of yourself by eating healthy meals. Exercise at least 3 times a week or 30 minutes a day. Sleep a minimum of 7 hours, or ensure, and be honest with yourself when you ensure this, that you feel rested. And many people think that, going back to priorities, right? I don't have time. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to sleep extra. But these are things that increase your stamina. It improves your mental clarity, boosts your immune system. It makes you happier. These are things that actually change the internal chemistry of who we are so that we are better. We are better at all the things we want to do and who we want to be. Obviously, additionally, refrain from excessive use of alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and don't rely on these substances to manage your stress. And we're back at relationships. Nurture your family or your relationships. Relationships with family, friends, and loved ones are by far the greatest source of inner satisfaction. And that is because these are the people who are they're an extension of us. They're our tribe. They are people that support us. They guide us. I understand that everybody's dynamic may be different, but acknowledging who these people are, what these relationships are, and nourishing them. Make time for you. There was a slide, one of the points where we talked about, do you have an activity that you enjoy? And a lot of people, if you're, studying, working a part-time job, maybe you help at home, you have those sort of responsibilities and chores that you don't have time for yourself. But I'm glad that I'm having this conversation with you now at this stage in your life. And I said that right at the outset, because what we do now, how we live, the habits we create, and the balance that we attain changes or determines the way the rest of your life plays out. So as much as you work or you have school, health and relationships should take a priority in your life. That point about put your health first, look after yourself, your body and your mind. You've got to take care of it, because this vessel is the thing that carries you through your entire life. If it is wonky, if it has defects and flaws, you are always going to struggle with other parts of your life. So take at least 30 minutes of uninterrupted time, your time. And what do you do with that time? Is it something therapeutic like walking or running? Is it a meditation? Is it reading? Do you like to cook? You will ask yourself what the 30 minutes of your time is. I said cooking because for me, cooking is not a responsibility. It is something I love doing. And so it is something I would often do because I truly enjoy creating. I can't draw. I'm not artistic in the traditional sense. But food for me is a creation. And that's so important, right? Because it speaks to all of these other values of taking care of my body and my health. Your situation is different. I only use myself as an example so that you have context. So connect with your spiritual source. Do you have belief in God or a higher power? This can be a deep well from which to draw inspiration, guidance, and strength. And sometimes it is connected to other parts of ourselves, right? So is it a church group? Is there a youth group? They have activities. Don't look at it as a chore if it is something you feed from and you are nourished from. Give it time and give it the energy that it deserves. And so now we're going to learn how to use some of these techniques, right? We spoke about using the breath, taking a step back when we're evaluating ourselves and in our anxiety. We spoke about being mindful, and mindfulness came up, was a big part of the previous session. And then we talked about movement. How do you move yourself? Movement is not specific to exercise. It's not specific to a sport. It is movement of your body. So as a start, I am going to teach you a few breathing techniques. You're going to do them with me. So we're going to practice. And then depending on how much time we have, I'm going to do a combined session with you using those various techniques, the mindfulness, so stilling the mind and using the breath to do that, and maybe a little bit of movement, okay? So you're going to start by, try it, close your eyes, sit comfortably. You're going to bring the awareness into your body. So because we're all in the chair now, I'm just going to tilt the camera so you can see me better, right? So you're sitting comfortably in your chair, wherever you are, maybe you're on a couch. Make sure that your spine is nice and long, so you're not hunched over or, slouching. Close your eyes. Take a moment. And start to become aware of your breathing. So notice as you're sitting here how you breathe. Is it rapid? Is it erratic? That's quite normal if you've been sitting for a long period of time and if you don't move a lot. So just bring that awareness to your breath. And then you're going to learn how to use what we call yogic breath. More scientific term for it is thoracic breathing, and the thorax is essentially this area that expands and contracts when you breathe. So you're going to place your right hand over the abdomen and the left hand over your chest. Make sure that your neck is nice and long and open here. And as you breathe in, you're going to allow from the abdomen to expand, then the chest, and then the shoulders are going to just rise slightly and open. As you breathe out, you're going to work from the shoulders through the chest and into that abdomen. Breathe in, expand from the abdomen into the chest, shoulders, and breathing out, shoulders, chest, abdomen. Sitting completely still, focusing only on your breath and on these three parts of your body as you breathe. I would suggest that you keep your eyes closed for the exercise. You should have thoughts running through your mind, and that is, believe it or not, it's extremely normal. So you're going to allow any thoughts that come into the mind to simply come in and pass. So don't hold on to it. Keep your focus on these three parts of the body as you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Right? Let your body do the work. Allow that thoracic region to expand. And contract. It is an extremely calming exercise. It will help to reduce anxiety, but it will also help you to start to build your lung capacity, endurance, immunity. With each inhale, you are taking in fresh air. You're feeding the body. With each exhale, you are letting go. You are letting go of pollution that you've breathed in your day-to-day breathing. You are letting go of excess carbon dioxide. You're cleansing on a cellular level, but you are also cleansing on an emotional and a mental level. And notice that as you breathe, that your mind starts to still. So the thoughts will be less frequent. You'll hold on to them for shorter periods of time before you let them pass. Take a moment, maybe just release the body, like release the hands. You can bring them to your knees. Another very grounding practice. Place the right hand, right palm inside the left palm. And place your hands in your lap. You want to relax your shoulders. Draw that belly in towards the spine, lengthen your spine, and just picture a thread being drawn up from the top of your head that's giving you length in that spine. Close your eyes, and you're going to try a different breathing technique, which in yoga we call Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi breath is the victory breath or warrior breath. Right? It warms you, it stimulates your digestion, it gives you endurance. And to do this, you have to create a sound by shifting the epiglottis and constricting the throat. So on your inhale, lift that epiglottis, and on the exhale, constrict the throat. So you should create a sound that is like the ocean. And I hope you can hear me while I'm doing this. This is what it should sound like. And the beauty of this breathing technique is it helps you clear your mind. It will create focus. It's extremely relaxing. So keeping your hands placed in your lap, keep your eyes closed, and you're going to work with this Ujjayi breath for a little while. So let's go together. Remember, Ujjayi breath is the breath of victory. It will help to increase your lung capacity. It detoxifies the body. It is deeply relaxing. It helps with focus, concentration. You can really use this if you're studying, before you write an exam, wherever you feel you want to let go of any tension, anxiety, I would suggest that you start with the yogic breath. So building that awareness into your body, feeling as the thorax expands and contracts, work with your body here, and then build into this Ujjayi breath. Now, the third technique we're going to use is also a yoga breathing technique, and it is called alternate nostril breathing, or in Sanskrit, Nadi Shuddhi, right? The reason for alternate nostril is simply that if you can control whether you inhale or exhale through either the left nostril or the right nostril, you're actually controlling your left and right brain hemispheres. You're controlling your fight or flight mode in the body. And to do this, you're just going to take the thumb and your middle finger and place it on each nostril. So right here, I hope everybody can see me. I just thought I would move from there. Briefly, I'm just going to go back to your yogic breath, working with the thorax, expanding from the abdomen, chest, shoulders, and working down. Ujjayi breath, lifting the epiglottis on the inhale, constrict the throat on the exhale, and the sound you're creating is okay. Have you practiced any of these together with me? I'm comfortable here in practicing these techniques because I'm going to take you back to the alternate nostril breathing, which, remember I said you're going to take the thumb and this middle finger just blocking off each side of the nostril. And just under this nose bone here, you're gently going to place those fingers so you're not actually pressing your nose closed, right? You can put it there. And you're going to release the left nostril, breathe in. Close it and breathe out to the right side. To the right. Close it. Breathe out to the left. To the left. Close. Out to the right. Into the right. Close. And out to the left. So if you're practicing with me, that is beautiful. I'm going to switch back here just for a moment. And we're going to do a brief session together. We're going to use all three breathing techniques. If we have time, I will show you a fourth one, which is a little bit more advanced. Just to recap why we do each one, the thoracic breathing or yogic breath builds the awareness in your body. So inhaling, working from the abdomen into the chest and slightly up into those shoulders. And on the exhale, working from shoulders to the chest into the abdomen. We build lung capacity. It's extremely relaxing. It starts to facilitate that detoxification. And it is very, very often used to build up into other breathing techniques. The second one, which is your Ujjayi breath, which is inhaling by lifting the epiglottis. And on the exhale, constricting the throat to create the sound of the ocean. Ujjayi, the breath of victory. It helps to build stamina. It detoxes your body. It is extremely relaxing. I recommend, in fact, all three of these techniques that you do them every day. And even if you start with 5 minutes a day, you're going to find, if you do it consistently, huge benefit. In fact, you're going to see benefit immediately after the first session that you do. So the third technique we looked at was alternate nostril, or in Sanskrit, Nadi Shuddhi, controlling inhale and exhale through left and right nostril to balance our left and right hemispheres of the brain. You're balancing fight or flight mode, and for anxiety. This is truly one of the best techniques you can use. Do it every single day. If you struggle with anxiety, if you're angry, if you're sad, if you're dealing with an emotion that you can't control, this is really, really, really good. because you're changing the chemistry that controls your emotional reaction when you do this. So we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to ask you to do this on your own as I talk you through it. All right? So sit in a comfortable position. Make sure your spine is nice and long. You have that belly drawn in towards the spine. You want a nice long neck here. Close your eyes. And you're going to start with your yogic breath. So breathing in, work through 3 parts. Exhale, up, down, work through 3 parts. I'm going to count for you so we have some control over here. So inhale for 2 and exhale. And inhale for 3 and exhale. 2 breaths. One more. Exhale. And try and start the Ujjayi breath or breath of victory. So breathing in and breathing out. And in for 2. And exhale. In for 3. And exhale. And in for 4. Exhale. And then you can take that thumb and 3rd finger, just blocking the nostril. Breathing in to the left, close it. Exhale to the right side. Breathing in to the right, close it. Exhale to the left. For 2, inhale to the left, close. Exhale to the right. Inhale to the right, close. Exhale to the left. For 3, inhale to the right, close. And inhale to the left, close and exhale to the right. Inhale to the right, close, exhale to the left. And last one, breathing in to the left nostril, close, exhale to the right. Release, take a deep breath in and exhale. In short, there are various ways in which you can use these techniques to help with relaxation, anxiety, stamina, all of these things. If we had a longer session, we would maybe use some of those techniques just to experience it. But I would like to ask if there are any questions. So open the chat up for questions or comments before we close off for the session. Sorry, Naz, do we have any questions here? I don't see anybody asking any questions. So if there are no questions, I would like to say thank you again to everybody that has joined the session. And if you've participated in the exercises as well, thank you very, very much. It has been a pleasure to run the session and to share my methods and my insights with you. These sessions are available recorded on the app. So if you've registered for the app, you should be able to access them and reuse them at a later stage. If you have any questions for me, you're welcome to contact me on my email address, which is premaatmawellness@gmail.com. Nazuko will share my contact details as well. If you have anything related to living a more balanced life or health and wellness, I am more than happy to assist. So until then, thank you very much for attending and enjoy the rest of the series. There is one more session coming up today, which I believe is extremely interesting. So I hope you will be joining in that session too. Thank you. I am signing out. Goodbye.
Thank you, Nirana, for that. I hope everyone enjoyed that special session with Nirana around healthy living and being balanced in everything that we do. I also learned a few things around, eating habits and being healthy. I was basically munching sweets as she was doing, and I was like, okay, that doesn't replace a meal. So now I was conscious about actually having a proper meal instead of just eating junk. So we'll be signing off for this one, with the next one coming up at 3 o'clock. It's around personal mastery using brain science. We've got an exciting speaker who's going to be sharing some techniques around using your brain, basically for personal mastery. And that session is only going to be 30 minutes long, from 3 o'clock until 3:30. And thereafter, we'll be announcing some of the finalists that are going through to the business pitch competition final. That will be taking place on Friday, where they stand a chance of winning some great prizes, which include some cash prizes as well. So if you haven't entered, be sure to enter before end of business day today. And how you enter, you just record your 2-minute business pitch, whether it's still in ideation phase or whether it's already a running business. You are more than welcome to still pitch. And then you just upload that video onto our Facebook page or onto our Instagram page, where you can follow us and then tag us so we can pick it up and evaluate it in order to see whether you do make it to the final cut. That will be hosted on Friday afternoon, where we will be basically having mentorship sessions where you can be mentored in growing your business or even starting it if it's still in ideation state. So looking forward to connecting with you at 3 o'clock. Have a lovely afternoon. See you in about 30 minutes. Bye.